Welcome. In this video, we are covering the most recent One Punch Man chapter. On this channel, I will also be covering verses and other big anime or mangas going on. This is a chapter I have been waiting for so long. One Punch Man actually happens to be in my top 3 favorite anime probably of all time, and one is just overall my favorite author. One thing, for example, that I've been very curious about since we got introduced to Garou and Suiryu, however you say his name, and I'm going to try to avoid saying his name because I had no idea it was this hard to say. Anyway, I remember during the second season we saw him going ahead against Saitama and other martial artists, and his skill was just next level. But more than that, his power was ridiculous. Now, when it comes to pure skill, I would expect Garou to be just to clear him and be on another tier when it comes to power. I mean skill. And even back then, obviously now, Garou has just entered onto a level of power that no one else in the story has reached except Saitama. Actually, I guess you could argue that Void maybe was on that level after he got the power of God or whatever. I don't think Blast is on that level, I'm not sure, because he kinda got stopped by a Garou that wasn't even fully realized. A Garou that wasn't even doing Saitama punches. Now, to be fair, this Garou we're seeing here now isn't really the Garou that went to Jupiter, or the moon of Jupiter, to fight Saitama, because Saitama went back in time before Garou adapted to that point. Garou is actually kind of like Maharaga, which is pretty interesting, where he can kind of adapt to anything, at least when he's in his cosmic state. But this Garou is still so experienced, and he kept a lot of the power he gained. He went up against Platinum S, Flashy Flash, all those guys before he ascended to the cosmic state. And even though he's not in his cosmic state anymore, I feel like he still has most of the power. Maybe not most of it, but some of it. And even before he went to that state, he was already he cleared basically most of the other characters in the series, except maybe Blast. And obviously we're not counting Void and all these other guys that came after, or Blast. But once he ascended to cosmic levels, he cleared Blast. He was way stronger than Blast as well, at least in my opinion. The only other character, obviously we're not counting the one singularity of the entire series, who is Saitama or God. We're not counting those two. The only other two characters or one character could compare to him is Void or maybe Blast. Yeah, Cosmic Garou, Tatsumaki is not touching that, but maybe pre-Cosmic it could be competitive, when he was going up against Platinum S and all that. But all this to say that one of the most fascinating things to me for the longest time was who was most skilled between these two before Garou ascended and became a monster and became impossibly strong. And we did have a mini OVA or short episode where they went against each other on some game, but the console exploded before we could get a winner It was that tightly contested. So Garou has the mindset advantage by far. Obviously, you could argue that Suiryu has the raw abilities, physically at least. And I'm sure he's technically gifted and all of that, but he's not really like a genius when when it comes to technique like Garou. But just physically, power-wise, in their base forms, kind of weird saying base, but just the Garou before he became a monster and all that, I would expect Suiryu or whatever his name is to be slightly stronger, and it would be like a kind of even battle, because he has some technique to deal with Garou's like counters and skill overall. But yeah, I've just wondered about this for so long, and now hopefully we're about to kind of see how that goes. When Suiryu said he was going to help Garou, I thought, oh, well, this sucks, I guess we're not gonna get to see them fight. But like, he said that he came to test him, so they might actually still fight a little bit after this, which would be super exciting. But the one bad thing, obviously, is that this Garou is likely much stronger than back when they first got introduced, both of them. I mean, when we first saw Garou, he was barely S class level. I guess he barely beat tanked up. I think Suiryu is like probably like comfortably S class. Like, wasn't Bang like S class 3 or 4 or something? Which is just crazy, because Bang is just a guy with martial arts. So it just shows the level of skill that this guy's possessed, to be above all those like S class monsters. And I think Garou just one-tapped this dragon. That's kinda a crazy feat, showing how much of his power he has retained. Like, we remember him struggling against demons or lower dragons in the Monster Association. Man, those were such peak chapters. I wish we get like a proper animation of all of it. But yeah, so in this chapter, we see them like finally meet again, and we might be about to get the answer. We got this like neo heroes who came to arrest Garou. Honestly, I'm surprised that these guys actually had the guts to even try to fight the monster. But they gained Garou's respect after them. Yeah. Suiryu just doesn't have the mindset to reach the levels Garou has reached. At least he didn't used to. Whereas Garou is a genius but also dedicated himself to battle. Should be fascinating though. But anyway, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Drop a follow if you enjoyed the video, and see you in the next one.